there are some secrets that they've kept, the realities that you are God in the flesh, but you have a female soul, because Yahweh is the alpha, okay? He's the male soul. And I guess Yahweh, if you want to explain the concept of Adam and Eve and the origin of creation from...
Well, all these things are parables. You must remember that the word parable in Hebrew is Marshall. Okay? So when you say a parable, what does a parable mean? Well, first off, it's my name, number one. Number two, it is like. It's an allegory. So when you go into the Adam and Eve story, you've got Yahweh, the Lord, walking in the garden, and this is in the heavenly realm, and they decide that they're going to sin. Okay. So out of the side of Adam originally Eve was taken. Well, out of the side of Yahweh in the creation, it is saying it is like Adam and Eve. The creation of the female comes out of the side of Yahweh. So this is the female, comes to the earth, and that's the mother of all living, and that's identified by the likes of Michael Behe in Darwin's Black Box, that the mitochondria of all human beings goes back to a female. Okay. So in the Great Pyramid, you've got the base of the pyramid laid out at 365.24 pyramid inches, which is 1 day equals 1 year. So you've got a 90-year period until the end. And that started with Lunation 0, which was the 18th of December 1922. That's when the astronomers set the moon at Lunation 0. They were inspired to do that. Angels caused them to do it. So then we start the countdown. So we have the base, and the base has then been shrunk by 286.1 pyramid inches. So I think, all right, let's look up the number 2861 and see what it is in the Hebrew Concordance. And it is the word espousal male. Because the base is now shrunk, when it gets up to the average landmass height of the Great Pyramid, which is 454.58333 feet, it can't go any higher than that, because that's the average land mass of the entire Earth. In other words, if you was to leave no land in a valley and no land in a mountain and level it all off, you'd have the average height of the land mass being the same as the Great Pyramid. So you say, well, how do they know that? Well, they know it because the angels told it. Now, what that all basically means is the capstone is too big. And that is Psalms 118:22. So if you look that up, you'll see that, have you ever heard the scripture? The stone the builders rejected has become the head of the corner. That word has been changed from pyramid. So what it's basically saying is that the churches of mankind in the last 100 years have, which is what the Great Pyramid's prophecy is all about, because it can't be read until Lunation 0 of the moon. And then you can start, each layer of masonry lines up with a solar eclipse. And that's why I was talking about solar eclipses before. And we then say, okay, we've reduced the base down. That means the place where the capstone was going to fit in its fullness, its full size, can't fit. So it's been rejected. It's too big. In other words, no one will believe my story when I get it. And that's what the basic principle of the Bible, although it's leaking at the seams with Lucifer indoctrinated interference in it, it does carry some of the words which is locked up in what I was telling you before about the Hebrew Concordance numbers and the actual verse numbers. The verses numbers didn't come into it until the 12th century, so they were also inspired. So you've got concordance numbers, you read a verse, you look up the verse number, see what it says in the concordance for that number, and I'll tell you what's in the verse. That's divine. It goes on and on and on with what I've been trying to teach the world for years and years and years.
Right.
Very in depth.
I had another question for you.
Yeah.
I had another good question for you.
Go ahead. Still there?
Wait, let's hold on that. Yahweh.
Yeah.
One last segment.
Yeah, yeah.
Folks, we're at KCTY.org. Hold on to that. Hold on to that thought. Great question, Ariel.
Well, I didn't hear the question, Lance.
Let's carry it over, guys.
All right, all right.
He repeated the same question he did before. What makes you not being a false prophet?
Oh, right. Oh, well, that's a very fair question. It's a matter of knowledge. The idea is to get into your...
That's what I told him.
Yeah. I mean...
He asked me when we're off the phone, I said, it's acquire wisdom and knowledge and speak truth and,
well,
you can determine...
when he comes back on, Pam, well, I'll tell him about what happened up in New Guinea, and the best person to talk to and interview about that would have been Janelle, because she's a witness to it. But the people up there are waiting for the Lord because they're all suffering and dying. So we show up and we bring the cure.
And they're also having dreams of you before you show up.
And they also had dreams. So what is it that the Bible, in its, if you can get anything out of it, what it is saying is that the meek will inherit the earth.
Right.
And the children is what Yahweh is here for. Not for the oldies, for the children. So the children of the future generations, they're the intelligent ones.
Yeah, I would put that forcefully. It's because the parents are attending for college.
Well, why should you have to pay to go to college? You got a straw man account that's worth millions.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's the other thing we should mention, the fact that going back to the straw man, I guess I'm going to emphasize the fact that, or you can say the soldiers die in the war and they make money off the death.
That's how it's done.
So
So they're making money off the war weapons, they're making money off the control of the nation that they eventually will overcome or defeat in some way or other, because they've got to rebuild it, and they do that with the IMF.
Yeah.
That's okay. Give me a couple minutes to wrap this all up, and I want to set up the part 2.
Alright.
You're not going to answer that question again.
Oh.
We've gone over that point, but I just want to set it up for the second, for next week, and any last words. Okay?
Okay.
And then I can call you. I'll call you. We'll call and do a wrap a little later tonight or tomorrow, whatever your choice is.
Okay. Brian?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I heard that.
Tell them about your internet site, www.strawmanburns.com, to find out the information about the Rothschilds and the Rothschild banking system.
Yeah. That's
So I'll let you finish out with this, and okay?
what I should say, Lance, is that the most important thing that...
Hold on. You're doing a song now. You just told me he's doing a song. So he's going to get us back in just a moment.
All right.
And then he wants to he's going to call me again tomorrow, and he wants to talk to us again tomorrow, and put us line up for a schedule next week.
Okay, good. So we're going to be on air tomorrow?
We're going to probably do a little air tomorrow, and then to get on for next week. So
Okay.
he wants us to come back again.
Oh, good.
Tuesday would be a good day. How's it with you?
Well, whatever. Tuesday's a good day too. But we can do it on the weekend if you want. We can do it on the weekend.
All right, well, we'll see. He said he was going to call me tomorrow, so that's Saturday for you. That's Saturday for you, it's Friday for me.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to do it, I can go up to the farm. We can do it from the farm.
I guess what you could do is,
Well, I want to get Janelle on there to talk because,
right, that's important.
well, she's an eyewitness, and of course she's...
We're back on air again, I guess, here.
This was Leo's first time on the radio, guys.